and you do so many nice things for people. And so, the one thing, when they say you're going to nominate somebody, you fit every category. And, Marion Crowley was a famous coach and stood for all the right things. And above all those things, he stood for helping others. And, Luke Martin, the Luke Martin show and all the things you've done, filming our games, the football, everything, for all the athletes and people, hey, like I told you, it felt pretty good to give you $750 a day. I mean, that's more money than I got. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
I know that too. We know there's not $6.5 million in the budget here either at Columbus East.
And if there was, Coach Chitty would deserve it, wouldn't he?
Yes, he would.
That's a good answer, Luke.
There's not a more deserving man because Coach Gaddis is not here in the building, so
Exactly.
I can say that and not get in trouble, even though this is going on TV. Well, Coach Chitty, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know I can remember before the season started, I was questioning whether I should come back to the basketball team. And after sitting down with you for a couple minutes, it became a no-brainer that I wanted to come back. Coach Chitty, thank you for a great senior season.
Luke, thank you for everything you do for Columbus East, and God bless you and good luck in the future.
Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Chitty. We'll be back as I close out my final show here at Columbus East High School. And welcome back to the Luke Martin Show. Well, as many people say, all good things must come to an end. And this will be my final segment I ever do at the high school level. And obviously, why not do it by thanking those that mean a lot to me? Well, first and foremost, the first person that you obviously got to thank is God, first and foremost. Without him, none of this would have been possible. None of us, not just me, anyone out there would not be able to live their lives and be able to accomplish their dreams, accomplish their goals, like mine, being able to move on, hopefully, to ESPN later on in the future. Some of the other people that I would like to thank are actually here in the audience tonight, and that is obviously the people that mean the most to me, and that is my family. My mom, Michelle, my dad, Bill, they're right over there. My proud parents. You can stand up if you want so people know who you are. Obviously, my mom and dad have meant tremendously to me. We've been through a lot since our elementary days, fighting to do homework and all that kind of stuff, but obviously my parents absolutely mean the world to me. My brother, Jacob, and his girlfriend, Erin, are here. They can wave. My brother's not hard to find. Obviously, me and Jake have, well, let's just say we've been through some struggles over the years. We've probably said some things that we probably shouldn't say on camera right here. But I know that he would do anything for me, and I do the same back to him, and obviously I love him with all my heart. So I got to thank Jacob, and it's been great to have Erin with us as well. Also here tonight are my other grandparents, Mammy and Papaw. Call them Mammy and Papaw. Phil and Patty Sermon. They're right there in the front row with a big smile on their face. Obviously, both of them have meant the world to me. Obviously, been through a lot with Mammy, with her Mammy moments from time to time. And also, it's been great to have Papaw as well. One of the many things that stand out to me about them was obviously when I lost Grandpa Martin a couple years ago, you know, Papaw Sermon was there for me, and he knew how much Grandpa Martin meant to me. And seeing him there for me through those tough times definitely said a lot about him, and I cannot say enough about him and Mammy as well. The other people that are here are my Grandma Martin and Aunt Martha. They're there next to my mom. There they are. You can go ahead and clap for them. They're pretty good people. You know, I can't say enough about them either. And, you know, obviously it's hard for me, but I think we all wish there'd be one more person here in the audience. And he's was my everything. And, you know, Grandpa Martin, without him, definitely none of this would have been possible. You know, Grandpa has meant the world to me. And it's hard to imagine it's been, you know, so many years without him. And he never got to see any of my TV shows or read any of my articles, but there's no doubt he lived it, and he was a big reason why. I got to thank Grandpa Martin. Now on to another group of people that I definitely consider part of my family, even though they're sort of separated in the audience. They've come into my life this year. Obviously, that's Alex Holy Cowan. He's in the front row, as well as his sister Sam up there with his mom as well. they meant the world to me as well. I've been through a lot of relationships throughout my high school career. And I never thought that my senior year I would be able to, that one of my closest friends, if not the closest friend, well, he is my closest friend, would be a kid that's 3 years younger than me. I never would have guessed that. But to Alex, to Sam, to Bonnie, to all of them, thank you so much for all you do for me. And also moving on to another person who I also consider a close part of my family, who's also a freshman, him and his brother as well. What's weird is him and his brother have the same name as me and my brother, Jake and Luke Hampton as well. Luke, obviously, who was on the show earlier. I've gotten to know Cubby, is what we call him, Cubby, really well this year, and Luke. I know without them, life would not have been the same. So I got to thank Luke and Jacob Hampton as well. I also got to thank the staff of my high school that I've been a part of. Without them, none of this would have been possible, as well as my teachers being able to cooperate with me, allowing me to go do the things that I would like to do. And some of those people are Mr. New, our principal, Mr. Edwards, Mr. Hack, Mrs. Wolford, Mrs. Towers, Mrs. Anderson, Dr. Moore, Mrs. Zumba, Mrs. House, and Mrs. Eads. And some of the greatest teachers I ever had here at East, I would like to thank as well, Mr. Lewis, and my great TV teacher who is also here, Mr. Baker. Without Mr. Baker, none of this would have been possible as well. There's a lot of teachers you meet at the high school level, and very few you get a chance to actually get to know really well and become more of a friend than a teacher, and no doubt Mr. Baker has been one of those, and I got to thank Mr. Baker for everything. I also would like to thank Mrs. Cordes with her motherly advice in the TV studio from time to time. Without her, it definitely would not be the same in the studio, and kids would not be scared to walk by the TV studio during class time. I would also like to thank Mr. Button, Mrs. Newland, Mr. Podorf, Mrs. Schaefer, Mrs. Hambling, Mr. Chastain, Mrs. Antcliffe, Mr. Barber, Senora Orr, Mrs. Weatherald, Mr. Bazel, Mr. Van Deveter, Mrs. Stott, and also I had him as a teacher, and he was also a coach here, Mr. Gratz, Coach Gratz. Also, without the athletic department that I've been able to spend a ton of time with over the years, since that's been the main focus, I got to thank Mr. Davis, Tyler Davis, Mr. Young, Gary Young, Mrs. Foreman, who's helped me through a lot, and obviously the great Coach Gaddis. And also, I got the chance to follow the volleyball team a little bit this past year. I would also like to thank head coach Wilder Newland for allowing me to come and film some of their games and also talk to the players. And some of the players I would like to thank, I've been part of my high school career with these three ladies: Mallory Lloyd, Ellen Jones, Alicia Gosney. I also got the chance to know Sarah Bean this past year, Courtney Ping, and many others on the volleyball team, and I got to thank you for that. On to the football team. You know, there are tons of people to thank on the football team, starting with the head coaches, and Coach Gaddis, Coach Vogel, Coach Miller, Coach Martin, despite him always picking on me on my Purdue gear, Coach Manowitz, Coach Brown, Coach Leahy, Coach Brummett, Coach Patterson, Coach Warren, Coach Lynn, Coach Bronkella, Coach Gratz, and also the trainer, Mrs. Gratz. I could not have done it without any of those coaches. My first year here, Coach Gaddis was really the only one that really talked to me. Many of the other coaches were like, he's not playing, who's this kid? But later on, Coach Martin realized he could pick on me for all my Purdue clothes, and it was a lot of fun. Without any of you coaches, it would not have been the same. And also Coach Miller as well, the weightlifting coach. I can't say enough about all of them. Coach Miller, obviously, with his great humor throughout the school as well. We all know he should be a comedian, not a teacher. And obviously, I would like to go through all the players, but I can't. I got to thank all the players. I just can't single one person out. The whole group, multiple of them are here tonight. I can't thank you guys enough. The families of the football team, there's really one major one. I don't think it's a surprise of who we want to honor, and that is obviously Kip, Alita, Drew, Dusty, and Gunnar Keel. They were going to try to be here tonight, but Gunnar is shockingly at an elite football camp. Who would think he would be going to an elite football camp this time of year? But, you know, Kip, Alita, Drew, I did not have the honor to cover Drew, but I did have the honor to do Dusty and Gunnar. Kip and Alita, you did a fantastic job with Gunnar and Dusty. I had the pleasure to get to know them throughout my career. They got two